Rising anti-Semitism and transphobia in Amerika. We must not be silent. Greetings. My name is Justin Adkins, and I am a revolutionary trans activist. My close friend and comrade in struggle, Keith Malik Washington, is currently incarcerated in one of the many slave camps and gulags operated by the Texas Department of Criminal Injustice. Malik has become one of the leading voices in the movement which seeks to amend the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution and abolish legalized slavery in America once and for all. Malik has teamed up with California prisoner Hashima Dunham, and together, along with their free world friends and supporters, they seek to raise awareness of the modern-day slave industrial complex being maintained inside U.S. prisons and jails. Today, Malik has requested that I relay a message to all of you in regards to the epidemic of threats and attacks visited upon our Jewish and trans sisters and brothers. Recently, Malik wrote a short piece for the San Francisco Bayview newspaper, exposing Islamophobia in Texas prisons. He began the piece with a quote from legendary freedom fighter and civil rights activist, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The quote states, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." In that spirit, Malik is adamant that I deliver this message that he has written. Malik is the deputy chairman of the new African Black Panther Party. Malik says, "Peace and blessings, sisters and brothers. Jewish synagogues and community centers are being vandalized. The cemeteries where our Jewish sisters and brothers bury their dead are being desecrated. We can't remain passive or silent. We hear the term, the Great Soha, and we silently mouth the phrase, never again. Well, I'm here to tell you the ambassadors of hate are attempting to stoke the flames of anti-Semitism and hatred aimed at Jewish human beings. We cannot stand by idly and do nothing. We cannot hesitate or prolong our response. Many will ask, why are you, Malik, a devout Muslim and Black Panther, so passionate about this issue? Well, you know what? I'm glad you asked, because I'm definitely going to tell you right now. I spent a large portion of my childhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My father worked at a U.S. steel mill in Braddock, Pennsylvania, the Edgar Thomson Works. My dad was a proud member of the Steelworkers Union, and yes, I believe that labor unions that protect workers are good. Well, in the 1980s, there was a steel mill strike. Times were hard for our large family, and my dad was a proud man who prided himself on providing for his family. A group of Jewish families in a section of town called Squirrel Hill in Pittsburgh offered my father a chance to make extra money doing odd jobs and maintenance around their rather large homes. These odd jobs provided the sustenance that our family needed so that my dad could weather the storm brought on by the work strike. You know, sometimes if you really believe in a cause, you've got to make sacrifices. The strike was a success, and my dad returned to work, but the story doesn't end there. After high school, I joined the U.S. Army, intent on setting money aside for college. When I got out of the Army, I attended a historically Black college, Morgan State University, in Baltimore, Maryland. My major was nursing. In the Army, I worked as a pharmacy technician and field medic. Times were tough financially when I was in college, and in the summer, I needed to find work. There was a Jewish pharmacist named David Yezerhoff who worked for a man named Leonard Rodman, and thus began my work as a pharmacy tech at Rodman's Discount Drugs on Wisconsin Avenue in Washington, D.C. Mr. Rodman was famous for his hiring practices, giving many Arab, Asian, and African college students an opportunity to work while attending the many local universities in the D.C. area. The diversity at Rodman's Discount Drugs is a testimony to the greatness of the egalitarian spirit of Jewish people. The key point I am trying to make is that at key moments in my life, a Jewish human being was there to provide a hand up. So it is only fitting that I use my position as a dedicated human rights activist to boldly ask Ivanka Trump and her husband Jared to speak out strongly for the protection and safety of Jewish people and at their places of worship and community centers. But even more, I believe Ivanka should search her heart and decide what legacy she wants to leave behind. There are things that President Trump has said and done which have empowered particular hate groups. This is a fact. It's not fake news. America will only be great when all people are treated with dignity and respect. Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Now, my close friend and fellow activist Justin Adkins and I are both frustrated at the rollback of policies which would allow transgender human beings to use the bathroom in keeping with their current gender identity at school. As a black man, I have observed hatred towards trans women of color, and it is no secret that I admire the activism of Cece McDonald and the work of actress Laverne Cox. One of my closest friends is a trans human being, so I'll be damned if I refuse to speak out when trans people are under attack. Of course it takes courage to speak out. There are men and women secretly calling me a closet faggot behind my back. This is a word that is offensive, I know, but slowly these terms are being used to degrade and to dehumanize our sisters and brothers, and we must call the haters out. Don't let them hide. Sisters and brothers, do you realize that there are some members of the LGBTQ community who have embraced assimilation as a means to survive in this growing trend of intolerance and hate? Can you imagine being an employee in the Trump administration and being gay or lesbian and deathly afraid of revealing it? Can you imagine the fear and self-hatred? Ask yourself today, am I afraid to be the person I really am? There is a movement growing. The movement is being underestimated by some, but the power and strength of this movement can change things for the better. It can change things for all. Change starts with you, the individual. This past election, we may have remained silent, but now we see what we got. The future may be Kashema Sawant or someone else, but those who have an ear, let them hear. Dare to struggle, dare to win, all power to the people. Keith Malik Washington.